Hello, my name is Dr. Stephanie West, and today we're going to talk about writing a successful lesson plan. There is evidence that successful lesson plans are aligned closely with the local grade-appropriate state learning standards. This can be in the form of the state standard itself, a student-friendly objective, or an essential question. Here's some examples of the learning goals. So we can go by our state standard. Compare and contrast two or more versions of the same story by different authors or from different cultures. A student-friendly objective would read, "Today I will learn how to compare and contrast two versions of the same fairy tale." An essential question would be framed as, "How can comparing and contrasting two versions of the same fairy tale using a Venn diagram deepen my understanding of the two stories?" So all of our lesson activities, materials, and assessments should always be aligned to state standards. Activities and materials are directly aligned with the written objective. They're sequenced from basic to complex, which shows a progression from basic to complex that matches the level of student needs. We need to build on prior student knowledge and provide appropriate time for student work, lesson, and unit closure. There should be adequate time for students to develop and deepen their understanding of the lesson's objective with appropriate time for closure and even reflections. So here's an example of an activity with its materials and assessment. So the teacher will read two versions of Cinderella and model using a Venn diagram to compare and contrast two versions. Then, based on a student reading levels and interest, students will then choose two versions of the same fairy tale to compare and contrast through a Venn diagram. Lastly, the students then explain their completed Venn diagrams in pairs. Students will then complete an exit ticket answering the lesson's essential question. How can comparing two versions of the same fairy tale using a Venn diagram deepen my understanding of the two stories? Then we need to make sure our lesson plan is appropriate. The plan should align with grade level expectations and content standards, and the plan should also incorporate student interests and learning needs. For example, when teaching the standard, compare and contrast two or more versions of the same story by different authors or from different cultures, the teacher should expose students to a variety of reading levels with different traditional, modern, and cultural versions of the same fairy tale. Lastly, we need to accommodate for individual student needs. In writing successful lesson plans, it is necessary to provide opportunities to accommodate individual student needs. The teacher needs to ensure that differentiated the lesson for the various student levels and needs. This may be in the form of ability levels based upon pre-assessment, interest levels, and even learning styles. Here are some examples of how to make accommodations. So during a guided reading lesson, the teacher plans for students to compare and contrast two or more versions of the same fairy tale using multiple leveled text based on the reading levels of the students in the class. The teacher also incorporates traditional and modern versions of the same fairy tale to spark student interest. Flexibility. Always allow some flexibility within the plan, just in case you need to reteach or scaffold your lesson plans to ensure that everyone is on task. Then, once the plan has been planned, designed, and delivered, reflect on how the lesson plan went. Make notes on what went well and what could be improved upon. Remember, the goal is to develop a quality lesson plan with a rigor that promotes learning for all students. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you will plan on joining me again for my next one. Here is my blog that you can visit that has all of my videos posted. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.